When I saw you, I would lose control. Made me feel like there was no tomorrow. Should've told you that you're beautiful, but the days pass and now it's so long ago. Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too. I wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Would you know my name? Would you know it and did you feel the same? Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? It's too late now, 'cause I'm growing old, but I need you to deal with my sorrow. Just a memory, just a broken frame, and I know that I have no one else to blame. Did you make it? Did you break free? Did you manage to be who you wanna be? Maybe somewhere you think about me too. I wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now? Would you know my name? Would you know it and did you feel the same? Wonder where are you now? Wonder where are you now?
Time to hit it on the button. Beep, beep, beep. It is time for CAD Like Nobody's Watching. It's Sunday. What are we? 14th of October already. My goodness. I hope you'll join me for the next hour whilst we play with Fusion or your CAD of choice. Get a little bit more experience. Learn a little bit more how to make the things we want to make. This has certainly been an exercise for me in making me spend some real time focusing on it, and I'm pretty happy with how it's been going. So, fire up Fusion or your CAD of choice, and let me know what you've been working on in the chat. I'm going to quickly recap my not very eventful day, and then we'll talk a little bit about the progress we made on the models yesterday, and then we'll get right into it. On the agenda for me today is a little bit more playing with my knife design and the jig to go with it. And then I'm going to start trying to model out this idea for a nerf gun mod thing that I kind of am playing with, but that's going to be super early stages. So obviously the main thing of progress I might as well talk about. We knew it yesterday. I ran out of filament in the big print. Kind of annoying, but never mind, because well, let's look at this. We are printing the last piece of it now. More filament arrived this morning, and same color. I figured just measure the height that I'd gotten to, and offset in slicer, print the remainder. We'll see how that goes. If it doesn't work, well, I mean, there's a limit to how much can go wrong. I guess the worst part would be if I can't get a good enough join between the plastics. But for the use case, I think we'll be okay. I think we will be okay. So that's pretty cool. I had a little experiment. In fact, let me show you that one here. So here last night I had a go attaching it to the vortex, so you can see it, or the cyclone, you can see it sort of in place as it might be, and just sort of experimenting with what that looks like. I still need to print another of these hose attachments that will go probably to the belt sander. I need to put this somewhere now. So let's put that there. That it's looking good. It fits great. Very happy. But it just needs a little bit more finishing. We are We are 4 hours away from that top bit thing being finished, so maybe later this evening I'll plug that together. Philip, good evening. Tom, good evening. Why don't I make my own design on Nerf gun instead of modding? Well, maybe one day. I think baby steps. So I'm going to use the interior mechanism of the existing gun, and that will dictate a certain amount. So we'll get there probably in the second half of this. But what I'm thinking is that I will try and model all of the critical features that wrap around that existing internal mechanism, and then we'll kind of see with sort of how far off the beaten path I can go from there. One day, maybe this obsession will turn into a completely custom gun. We'll find out. That's the other thing I should put. Let me refresh this feed. I was going to say, why is there no picture of of me taking those measurements earlier, or at least getting some reference photography earlier? Oh my goodness, Instagram is so slow. Come on. Ugh. Oh dear, network. I did also, you'll notice from the tab, start looking at Discord. I haven't got very far, but maybe in the future, Discord. So this little picture, this showed a previous, I say mod. This was just a paint job that I did on a Nerf gun a while ago. It's been sat in my office of all things for quite a while. Brought it home the other day, and that is next to the pieces, the small pieces. So this mechanism here on the left hand side, that's what I'm talking about. It's quite a neat design between this and the barrel ratchet mechanism. Like, that's sort of all critically self-contained. You have a couple of other key pieces, a piece down here that has to latch in place at the back, and obviously you've got the hand cock mechanism. So that, I mean, other than that, really today I pretty much just potted around, did a bit of tidying, still resting the thumb up, but didn't want to get too much sawdust in it whilst it is still healing. So yeah, that's been my day. We'll look straight into CAD and we'll find that I have this is crashed. I spent a little bit of time this morning looking at this whole idea of sheet metal flattening out, I guess in multiple dimensions. Funnily enough, part of a Facebook, I am part of a Facebook group, you may well be as well, and some discussion was happening around exactly this kind of topic, and somebody had done this and it worked for them, but they did say it took them a few goes to get it to sort of do the thing. This looked so close. In fact, let me just kill this completely now and restart it, and I'll talk a little bit about how that was going. It seemed like it was going to work. Like, got all the way up to selecting the little flat panel. It looked like it detected the entire spiral as a bend to be flattened. You say go, and then it crashed, which is not very helpful. But it was certainly an interesting theory, and it did introduce me to an option I'd never even noticed before in the coil creation, which was the ability to taper it and also to change the profile of stuff. The other thing I will just quickly go over is the ability to put a sketch, project a sketch into 3 dimensions, or project an object sketch into 3 dimensions, which goes a little bit with what I was playing with yesterday. Where is... Oh, it doesn't even want to open. Is that because I had it saved recently? Probably. Experiments, there we are. So, that you'll see basically this line here in the 3 dimensions, this was the key takeaway, and I discovered a couple of things. The reason that this line is up here but this object is here is that when you're in the sheet metal environment and you select to make a flange, it only wants to make a flange, I guess, to the right. Maybe there's something about the coil, but basically up here it wouldn't work because it wanted to sort of project it out kind of this way or this way for the camera. So I had to tilt it in order to get it to create the flange. And at the point that it created this flange, I was like, I'm in business. I have, like, it thinks of it as a flange. It's doing the right thing. I was able to extend it. In fact, I extended it at both ends. Oh, that didn't save. But basically, I was able to get to this point where I could select panels on it, like go through the motions, but no, worked for somebody, but not for me. So just quickly then, let's have what's the easiest way to go back through this? I just want to, as much for my own, like, getting it stuck in the brain, want to just see how that works. So let's go back to model, turn that off for a second. We'll turn that off for a second. So basically, this was the situation. Created a coil. Let's actually create this one this way to begin with. Why am I getting weird? Oh, I'm upside down, that's fine. Sometimes the space behaves bizarrely. Right, so yeah, do that and create yourself a coil. So first thing was to create a flat side. Oh, that's interesting. There we are, flat-sided whatnot, which gives me a couple of rails to choose from. The other thing was to create a taper to it. Now, I tried a larger taper before. I'm going to try a smaller taper this time in case that makes any difference. And section size, whatever, that's fine. So that gives you all of that. And then what you can do is you say sketch project include 3D geometry, and now we're going to select the bottom axis, but then I'm going to select this guy here, and what it's done is it's traced all of the exterior lines. So now I can stop that sketch, switch off that body, and I'm left with these lines in 3D space, which are actual sketch lines. Now, previously I actually deleted the ones I didn't want. Not patch, sheet metal, that's what I want to be. I'm just curious whether that was a misnomer because it was causing me problems. Ah, there we are. Come on. Marvelous. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Let's do that, 25. So that gets me a sheet metal body in 3D space with interesting stuff going on, but what it doesn't get you is you now need to be able to extrude a flat bit. I'm probably going to crash this as I try this again, but I'm going to go through it for the sake of it anyway. So what I ended up doing to get an extra flat tab on this was I created a plane through 2 edges and selected the 2 edges of that surface right there, then sketched onto that plane, zoom in on that, which, hello, why is that not connecting me to the surface of that? Did I select the wrong, Let me just check again that I did in fact select the right plane, because sometimes that's better. I think I must have just deselected. So that lets you draw a proper profile on the end. Now I don't know why flange doesn't end up with a profile, but that seems like you have to create yourself a new profile on the end, and once you've done that, you can now extrude him as you would. You have to make sure you're doing a join and not a cut. So let's just extrude him out, and boom. So now it's still a flange body, but you have this flat space right here, so it's all connected. Now, in theory, this is where it all comes crumbling down, or at least it did previously. You can now say unfold, select my stationary entry. This is all looking great. Select my bend. It thinks about it. Now, what I found last time was if I selected the outside, it just errored saying it couldn't do it. Okay, right, well, so this is good. We're good so far. It's selected the bend, it's on the outside, and go. And go. Anytime you want to do it. Now, in the example, well, so that's interesting. Different result to the last time. It seems to think we have unfolded it, but we haven't. Because I'm now in, this says refold faces. This says that it happened. Can I, it doesn't like magically think of it as a surface, so it certainly has not unfolded. Okay, let's go back. What does that do? Oh, did that refold? I can get it right. Never mind. I'm going to get rid of both of those and get back to this point. The other thing I thought I should try is putting another flat tab on the end of the other end in case that helps. So, plane through two edges. Boom. Sketch on that plane. Why does it move that plane out of my view window? Only Fusion knows. See, now I feel like, again, I was certain I selected the right thing there, but it feels like it didn't end up. Come on, see, right. Maybe it's just me being crazy, that it's just not really selecting when I think it has. Philip, it could be the taper that confuses it, except the reason I added the taper is that the person on Facebook that I'm blatantly copying did have a taper. And I, like, literally, earlier I copied all of the settings that he showed in his screenshot, and it didn't work. So, let's just try this. Okay, so now we've got a nice little flat tab at the top and the bottom of our spiral. Let's try and unfold again. So select our stationary entry, select our bend, let it think about it. It's interesting that it's highlighted the inside and the outside track. Okay, so that's all the way up to there. That's good. I wonder if there's something weird that it's detecting the inside and the outside. Okay. Anyway, the other thing I might try, well, let's do this way, and then I might try clicking unfold all bends in case that makes any difference. But for now, it's going to think about it. And last time I got to this, it crashed. So now it's not crashing, it's just not doing it. Why aren't you doing anything? Let's try edit that feature. Come on. Let's try it. Yeah, so... Oh, do you now think that the whole thing is a stationary entry? I'm going to select. Oh wait. Oh right, I have no idea what's happening now. This does not look happy. It's not letting me select anything. Let me try that again. Select that guy. Selected stationary entry is not connected to any bends. It was last time. What are you? Okay, so I think we've what we're telling ourselves here is that we've experimented to the ends of what this is even remotely used for, and I think this is probably abusing Fusion in ways that it does not enjoy. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna ignore. Well, not ignore. Leave that for now. We've wasted enough time on it. There's definitely a potential there. There's something. I'll have to keep playing, and maybe I'll figure out what that other person was doing differently that got them at the end of the way. Now, what I want is kitchen knife. Can you match the pitch of the flange to the spiral? Ah, interesting. You think that might be the issue, that it doesn't like, because it thinks it's bent in both directions. Well, the thing is, I did an extrude. Can you extrude at an angle? Because I feel like, I mean, obviously I could kind of crop it, but taper angle. Okay, let's try that. Which one was that? This was the top one. Let's. See now, taper angle wants. Oh right, that's not helpful. Let me look at this. So, can I? Hang on. What does this do? Extent distance to object. I don't really know what that is. Two sides, one side. No, that's that. So the taper angle appears to apply in all directions at once, which is kind of not what I want. I want to be able to say twist it up that way. You might be onto something, Philip. Again, I'll leave it for now. I'll come back. That would also be an interesting thing to consider. For the next few minutes, I'm just going to continue with this random little idea. So, of how we're going to do this. So, I'm going to assume that I'm going to put circular holes in the ends of this. Is that true? Is that true? Wait. No. Circular holes are in the other struts. These are slots. So I'm going to sketch on this plane. I'm going to come across the whole business for the moment. Let's get rid of. Come here. Don't draw over there. Let's get rid of the baseboard and the knife for a second. Let's extrude this guy like that. New body. Okie dokie. And why is that one through and that one not? Well, anyway. Let's combine him and we'll cut him and him through. Keep the tools. So in theory, if I clone this guy, copy, move or copy? Come on. Move, copy. Where is my... Ah, there he is. So we'll bring that to the other side. So in theory, Is that true? Oh, I don't actually need that one to be as far away, do I? That one can be up here somewhere. Let me switch these guys back on. Is that not well? Oh no, they were the weird bits. I didn't need that one. Baseboard and knife. Right. So that means that this body can be basically in line with the shoulder, right? Because I want this to max out at this extreme, and this guy can come in a little as well, so that it maxes out. So you'll end up clonking against either of these side pieces, but these should slide freely through, which I'll have to, maybe I'll play with animating it at some point. But for now, so what's obvious is that this structure, I kind of want it connected, but that obviously clashes with the board itself, which is no good since this whole thing needs to be able to move both backwards and forwards and up and down a little, but only up and down in one axis. So how are you doing? Let's cut. In fact, let's come back back to the point that we created him before we copied. We'll sketch onto this surface and we'll take a notch out. Let's say let's just do that. That might not be right, but let's grab you through like, oh, almost like that, but without the board in the way. Get rid of that. Right. Now we can switch the board back on and return to the present. Right. So that will clear that. Front and back. Gives our file the scope it needs to move in line with that. Is that true? Is that true? Yes. So what we need is something that comes vertically down so that this thing's free to move up and down, and some kind of runners underneath that keep us on our best behavior, keep us on our axis for filing. This feels, maybe this is way too complicated, but it sort of makes sense in my head. It does. How are we doing? I'll give it another few minutes and then we'll switch to nerfing, because that's probably gonna take a bit of time to get going. I have a base plate that nice it's on, and then I have guides on sleds to slide against, which hold the file. That's sort of this idea, I think. Maybe I'm overcomplicating it. I'm not sure what you have in mind. I think part of this is that I kind of want this piece to be somewhat independent of the mechanism. Is that true? No, that can't be true, because this piece will ultimately dictate exactly what angle is being presented. Or maybe it can be. Maybe it is unique. If I have a mechanism that just allows, essentially it's just a sled for holding a file, which allows it to move in a certain set of constrained axes. And then this would be a replaceable piece, depending on what you're working on, that would just present the blade to the file at a prescribed angle. So I think I may have ended up doing this in a slightly weird way, because I kind of started from this specific knife, whereas I probably could have just designed any sled that helps this move in kind of a constrained 3 axes. Essentially what I'm trying to avoid is tilt and yaw, I guess. I really do need to set up Discord. Maybe for next week I will try and set something up so that we can share things better. That is definitely on the list. I should have spent some time on it today, a bit more time on it today. I only thought about it in the last few minutes that I had, and that was not really enough. Right, yes, I want to extend that object again, but let's go back to before we copy it, so that we might as well. So I'm going to pull him out the back a little bit, and out the front a little bit, just to give us some space to work with. Oh, no, that's unhelpful. Come on, don't be silly. 10 out there, thank you. Well, not that one. 10 out there. Then let's drop. I can just drop a hole through it, right? Let's do that. That's rather larger than it needs to be, I think I find. Now, how big do I need it though? Well, actually, no, 30 is fine. 6 will fit in there nicely, but it's not really big enough. Let's say 8. We'll have 1 there. Where are we again? All over the place. Bum, bum. That's because I'm working weird orientation. So 1 there, and can I create another? No. What is that showing me? 170 bar. Okay. So I'm thinking that will then slide up and down on the rod, and I may even get. It would be handy to have an aux CNC channel. Maybe I should. I mean, maybe there already is an aux CNC channel. We are a growing number of owners. Let's stick you there. Even as I've done that, I've realised I'm going to regret how ad hoc that is. Yeah, that's a terrible way to do this, because I need to know exactly how far apart they are and exactly what their relationship is to the side. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to get. So let's do this way instead. We'll dimension him off there. We'll make him 10 from the end, and we'll dimension him off there. And we'll make him 7.5. That looks about right. And then we'll create a pattern. Rectangular pattern, I guess. The view. You only need to go in this direction. Let's have only 2 of you. And why can't I see you? What is the extent of that? 9 is 185. Okay. Let's do 2. Any guesses? Why is it not showing me? Oh, because I selected a dot and not the damn thing. Okay. Edit rectangular pattern. That's what I want. You. Is that not? Is that better? Is that not better? Oh, for goodness sake. Undo. Let's try that again. You are definitely the thing that I want. There we are. Now we're dragging circles around the place. We'll put you there. We only want 2 of you. 2 in that direction, none in the other direction. Boom. Okay. Now at least we have a couple of holes that we will know exactly how to position. So, boom. So now I'm envisaging essentially a subframe which will have posts that this thing sits down on. In fact, it'd be interesting to figure out how to construct this, because I probably want a subframe and a top frame to keep everything rigid enough, because it's going to be super important that this thing doesn't flex around the place, because otherwise I've rather defeated the objective. Okay, let's extrude off of, let's have the sketch back. Can I just extrude off of this face anyway? No, apparently not. Yeah, okay, let's do that. And that will make them, how much? I mean, it doesn't need to be very tall. Brain fizz! Oi, oi! Welcome, welcome. Decided to join and get the old brain fizz in. Just to recap for the new joiner, I'm working on this kind of probably overly elaborate idea for a custom file holding jig to help me file a knife design that is also custom. It's probably a ridiculous idea, but it's one of these things that I've just had in my mind for a while as, I don't know, an interesting thing to try. And one of the things I wanted to do with a 3D printer, basically. Right, so they're exactly the right distance apart. What we're going to do is move them to this and down, and do that. And then what we'll do is create the other 2 posts, and we'll put them over there. So now you get the idea that this thing will be able to slide up and down. These things will be able to slide in and out. And the whole assembly needs to be able to slide backwards and forwards relative to this board. The question is how to do that bit. I don't know, but I'm going to leave it there for the moment. Our little XY whatnot is coming along, and we'll switch tack to a new project because we're a little over halfway through and I want to make progress on new project. So, Nerf gun. Here we have one half of the Nerf gun that I'm going to work with, the strong arm. And I've been looking at this thing and trying to get my head around how to even start. As I mentioned at the beginning, I do want to reuse the mechanism. So I was trying to pick out the stuff which is critical to the mechanism. So I think that's basically this slot. In fact, there's a slot here, and a slot here, and a slot here. Like the length of this slot, the relative positions, those are important for the pieces of the internal mechanism and the hand grip. And even though I may redo the hand grip, I definitely need this slot exactly right. The other thing is the distance between here and here. This is where the barrel of the mechanism goes, and the spring literally holds up against the inside of that. That's super important. So I think I'm going to start with basically modeling essentially just a square, I guess, or a cube, and start trying to put some of those things in place. What I figured out is that the front barrel section pins between here and here, but broadly speaking, everything in this top corner is sort of irrelevant. Like, it's a lot of the front of the gun really exists just to hold this pinpoint and the pivot points down here. So I think we can kind of radically redesign the top, probably completely kind of trim down this section here, and a lot of the lower half of the gun can probably change, so first things first, I mean, I've never tried to do something like this, so I don't know if this is going to be a good way to go about it, but I'm going to give myself a block to work with and start cutting into it and see how that gets me. So let's just start with something which is, in this case, we'll start 50 mil by 50 mil by, what is that? That's a little bit more than 15. Oh, so 150. So 50 by 100, well, let's say 160 for the moment. By, we're only worrying about 1/2 of the gun at this point, I think. So I'm going to ignore that flary bit. We're just going to go for 17. Gotta have the calipers to hand. 17 mil. So this is the sort of volume initially that I want to experiment with, and the first feature I'm going to put in is the slot. I think the main exterior slot is, let's see, that looks like it is 14 down from the top, and it is, what is that going to be? Probably 4 mil wide. 14 down from the top. So let's sketch ourselves onto here. We have something which is 4 wide. It is, how long is it? It is 69 long. And let's dimension it in space. Come on, dimension. No, that's not the right. Why are you dimensioning from there? Come here. Try that again. You and you. There we are. Said 14 down from the top. Did I say 14? No, I guess it is. Right. So that right there goes all the way through. So we'll just cut that right out. Now, a lot of the meat of this whole thing needs to come completely away because it's a thin shell, but I just wanted to get some of these key features in place. So there is also a slot that runs, let's see, parallel to that. It is 8 mil below. It is itself 2.5 mil wide. So let's just do that. So it is 2.5 by, this guy is actually comes all the way out the back. I'm just going to make him 75 for them. Oh, 2.5, 75 for the moment. I'm going to get some other dimensions in place. I don't know, has anyone tried modeling like a real object before? What did I say? It was 8 mil down. I don't know if this is the right way to do this. If I use the Fusion viewer, we can take a picture. Yeah, I have used that, and I did think about this because I definitely took a bunch of pictures earlier with that in mind. But but I think that where I've done that before, like you do get skewing aspects from the photo depending on how well you do it. So this slot goes all the way out the back. So let's just move you onto there. And I figured, at least initially, using trusty calipers on the physical object is probably easier. Maybe not, but it's the way I'm going for now. We'll see whether or not. So this thing exists just about just over 10 mil shy of this line. So if I move you like that. Okay, so yeah, that was wildly longer than it needed to be, which is fine. But we can carve you. Now you don't go. Well, you sort of go all the way through. There's a few bracing points in there, but we can add the bracing points later. Okay. So it doesn't look like a lot so far, but that is the theory. Trick is to use the longest lens that you have and take a picture far away as possible. Oh, that's an interesting idea. I do have a long lens on my camera. It would not have occurred to me to do it that way, but that would definitely help with the distortion. But yeah, also I guess because I really do want to think about what is the minimum number of things I can pull from the original design, then that kind of makes me feel like I want to, figure out the hard way that I've missed things, I suppose. Right, so there's another slot in here, which is, well, let's see, again, we'll measure its distance from the existing slot is going to be important. That is 5, 6, 7 and a half by the looks of it. So, and you are relatively, you're a little bit further back, and you are a little bit shorter. So let's say, I guess I needed to know its width is 4, and we'll leave its length a guess for the moment. Dimension it off of this. Oh, it's getting exciting now, isn't it? In fact, let's have some dramatic music. I only add dramatic music because, you know, I was trying to find things to jazz things up whilst I'm doing really not very exciting sketches. It's just a bunch of squares. How can you make it more interesting? Put some exciting music on. Okay, so this end is just over 3 mil shy of the leading edge, and looks like about 2 mil shy of that end. Let's measure its length. Its length is 6 to 7. So we were about there. How did that end up? That's complete garbage. Did I say 7? I'm going to have to go and check that again. You are 67, and you, this is the back edge. I wanted the leading edge. Come on, give me dimension between you and you. And I actually want that to be 3 the other way. See, now this is something else I've never. Have you ever tried to dimension and have it go the other way around? Spooky stream. Oh yeah, I should really get into. I should figure out how I'm gonna make the Halloween special. Let's move that to there. We're already. Okay, so I reckoned that was about 3 behind, but I also reckoned that it ended. Oh my goodness, that's maybe a little bit extreme. We'll just quieten that down a bit. Actually, I feel like that's just too much. It's too much to take. We'll have some piano. It's less dramatic, but maybe it's more fitting for what is the task at hand. So, okay, I've already made obviously a mistake. Let's see if we can see this. So these are the 3 slots that I'm trying to reproduce, and I thought I'd measured them okay, except the top slot here is clearly shorter. Like it's not as long as the slot in the middle, but somehow I've ended up thinking I've taken all the measurements, but on my map here, on my actual plan, this comes out further. So, what did I screw up? That is the question. So this middle slot should be 72 long. And I'm also doing this as a bunch of separate sketches, and I'm not sure that is what I really want at all. Okay, but for the moment, let me let's switch all of our sketches on, please. So this is the one. Did I make it? What? So I've measured that wrong right off the bat. First thing I did, measured that wrong. Not a good start. And I guess I haven't really measured where this exists in the block, but okay. Now we look a little bit better anyway. That is now looking like what I was expecting. And that guy does not go all the way through. I'm just going to make him like 4 mil deep, something like that. That'll do. So I guess that by definition makes this the exterior, and because I'm doing everything backwards, this is the exterior of the side that I'm not measuring. Of course. Fine. It's fine. So I think, so the other thing we've got going on is a radius across this corner. So let's fillet that. I don't have a good way to measure that. I'm just going to eyeball it. I think that's maybe about 5. Oh, actually 5 might be way too much. Maybe that's more like a 3. Let's say 3. Because the radius comes almost, but not quite to that slot. Fine. Let's turn off some of those sketches. Okay, looking reasonable so far. I think that's... So now, if that's the outside and this is the inside, let's think about what I need to do for that. So this has a bunch of structure in it, which is quite important to the strength of what we're doing. Now, what I can see is that this slot right here comes right up against sort of a wall piece. So I'm going to broadly just carve out a whole load of material that I don't want. So let's, in fact, yeah, let's bring it up right up to there. I don't know, what is this distance? I don't want to constrain you further. Oh, jeez. I've connected you to a line I didn't mean to connect you to. I've added a constraint I didn't want. God damn it. Okay. So, this... Well, Nerf guns themselves, what is thickness in this stuff? It must be like 2 mil, and I assume this is like an... What is this plastic? ABS? Maybe? Some other kind of maybe Pet G. I don't know. Because obviously it's a cast something or other. Okay, so let me undo this sketch for a second because I have created a constraint that I didn't want. Let's draw a line. Don't snap me to anything. Just let me draw a line. No, don't you dare. Just one. Okay. So we put you 2 million. We'll assume that that is broadly our exterior thickness. And what I'm going to do is just get rid of a whole chunk of stuff. Already I can feel like I'm probably doing this all wrong, but let's do that. So this is going to be, ultimately this will be the cavity that takes half of the real mechanism. And I need to figure out what exactly is that distance and what kind of reinforcing structure I'm going to need to hold it. So in the real gun, it is 95 mil from the surface that it presses against here to there. What are we at? Why is it rendered 1 million miles away? What is that? What did you do, Fusion? Honestly, I don't sometimes. Go home, Fusion, you're drunk. How did that, what? Oh, I know why. It's because I drew freehand. Stupid boy. See, it's these little mistakes that you make that come and bite you later. I drew a freehand box, which meant that I ended up with a little bit of an angle here, which I didn't actually want. And because those surfaces aren't parallel, it assumed I wanted to measure the angle between them. Sigh. Heavy sigh. Right. This guy I need to move until I want to make you that's not helpful either because it hasn't really done. Right, screw it, forget it. Get rid of you, get rid of you, get rid of you. The only thing I wanted was that front line to make sure that I was that was the right distance from the wall. I've now decided that I know that this box is supposed to be, what did I say, 70, oh no, 90, 95. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to make you 95. That's completely the wrong direction, but sure, fine. We're going to move our rectangle back in line with this. That means that I wildly underestimated how long I needed it because I went off the end of my calipers. Fine, so we'll just grow him out to take that, and then we'll get rid of you. Now we're talking. And now we definitely have a cavity that is exactly the same distance. Oh, gotta go. See you later, Mr. Brain Fizz, Richard Morley. Thank you for hanging out for a bit. I will be leaving in 3 minutes, 2 minutes as well, because my joint needs to go in the oven similarly. So this is probably where we're going to call it. Not the most auspicious, amazing start, but it seemed like the best place to go. Right, we are out of time. It's been fun, but roast dinner is calling, and it will not happen if I am not on it. Right, we'll stop with the piano music. We'll start with our exit music. It's been fun, guys. I hope you have spent some time learning as well, practicing, honing your craft. It's another busy week for me, back to the office. So I will be back 5 o'clock next Saturday. This has been Make a Geek. I have been Dan. We have been doing CAD like nobody's watching, and we've got quite the little CAD club going. Thank you once again. See you next time. Religion is something to try when you're falling apart.